Leo Grayson had never been one for excitement. His daily grind at the corner coffee shop was predictable: the hum of the espresso machine, the swish of milk frothing, and the occasional drama over who got the last blueberry muffin. Life was a series of jokes that Leo delivered with a wry smile, a bright spot in the otherwise mundane routine. He was a master of sarcasm, an unwitting philosopher among foam-topped lattes. "Can I interest you in a cappuccino with a side of life advice?" he'd quip to the line of customers, each lost in their own world of caffeine addiction. "Just remember, if you can't handle your coffee, you definitely can't handle your life." On that fateful Tuesday morning, however, Leo's world was about to turn upside down, quite literally. As he stood behind the counter, pouring a customer's drink with a flourish, the door swung open. In walked the strangest figure he had ever seen. Dressed in an impeccably tailored suit, the man had skin that shimmered like oil on water and eyes that glinted with a knowing glimmer. Leo's eyebrow shot up. "Is that a new trend I'm unaware of?" he muttered to the barista next to him, trying to stifle a laugh, but before anyone could reply, the room shook with a thunderous roar. The glass door exploded inward, sending shards scattering across the floor like confetti at a particularly violent party. Leo turned just in time to see massive ships descending from the sky, silhouetted against the morning sun. They looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, sleek and menacing, with bright lights flashing ominously. "Now that's a special," Leo yelled over the din. "Extraterrestrial Java. Comes with a side of panic." As chaos erupted, the aliens, bizarre creatures that seemed to be a mix of various earthly fauna, landed with an air of indifference, instantly turning his coffee haven into a scene from a horror film. People screamed, furniture toppled, and somewhere, a blender whirred away in an effort to produce something resembling normalcy. Leo's instincts kicked in, and instead of fleeing, he grabbed a nearby pot of brewed coffee. "Excuse me, sirs," he shouted, waving the steaming pot like a white flag. "I'm afraid this is our best blend. You might want to try it before enslaving us." The aliens paused, their beady eyes narrowing. One of them stepped forward, a tall creature with a lizard-like face and a surprisingly stylish hat. "Your humor is amusing," it said in a mechanical voice, "but we come for dominion, not caffeine." And just like that, Earth had a new owner. The aliens swiftly took control, asserting their dominance over humanity. Coffee shops were repurposed into detention centers, and cities were transformed into alien fortresses. Leo found himself forced into servitude, brewing coffee not for the whims of caffeine-craving humans, but for an assembly of alien overlords who apparently had an affinity for espresso. Days turned into weeks, and life under occupation was, surprisingly, less entertaining than Leo had hoped. He learned that the aliens preferred their coffee with a splash of something that resembled motor oil, and the only conversations he had were with disgruntled baristas who lamented their lost jobs. The only solace came from the underground resistance, a ragtag group of rebels who met in the shadows of the city, plotting the downfall of their new overlords. It was during one of these clandestine meetings that Leo discovered something extraordinary about himself. He had been making jokes, how else to cope with the absurdity of it all, when he suddenly felt a rush of energy coursing through him. A nearby vending machine whirred to life, spitting out snacks with abandon. What was that? Mara, the fiery leader of the resistance, asked, her eyes wide with intrigue. I have no idea," Leo stammered, his hands still buzzing with a strange power. "You might be one of us," she said, her tone serious but with an edge of hope. "There's a rumor that some humans possess alien genes, giving them abilities. You could be the key to our fight." This was news to Leo. An ordinary barista turned potential superhuman? The idea was absurd, but as Mara outlined their plans, his heart raced with excitement. For the first time in weeks, he felt alive, like a hero in a terrible comedy, ready to save the world. As Leo trained with the Resistance, he quickly realized that mastering his newfound powers was no easy feat. During practice sessions, he often ended up in slapstick situations, like when he accidentally triggered an EMP that knocked out the power to half the city. The rebels spent hours stumbling through the dark, using their phones as flashlights, while Leo desperately tried to contain his laughter. "Maybe we should rename you Goops," Mara joked one evening after a particularly disastrous training session. "Hey, it's a work in progress," Leo replied, grinning. "At least I'm not a total failure at being a superhero yet." Their camaraderie grew, each moment filled with playful banter that softened the harsh reality of their situation. It was in the quiet between battles that Leo discovered Mara's past. She shared tales of her family, lost in the initial invasion, and how she had vowed to fight back ever since. Her passion was infectious, and Leo found himself drawn to her in ways he hadn't expected. Just when they felt they were making headway, disaster struck. A traitor emerged from their ranks, a disgruntled former barista turned alien collaborator. With a swift betrayal, the Resistance was captured, thrown into the very detention centers Leo had once worked in. "Welcome back, Grayson," the alien warden sneered, its scales glinting menacingly. "I see you've decided to join your fellow humans in servitude." As they were herded into their cells, Leo felt a mixture of despair and determination. They had to escape, and he knew it would take everything he had. In the depths of the alien compound, Leo began to understand the full extent of his abilities. If he could harness the energy that flowed through him, he could turn the tide. They just needed a plan, and a little bit of luck. With Mara at his side, they devised a strategy. The night of the escape, Leo concentrated hard, feeling the familiar buzz of power ripple through him. They navigated the dark hallways of the compound, their escape fraught with comedic missteps, like when Leo accidentally triggered a laser alarm while trying to use his powers to disable it. "Oops," he whispered, his heart racing as the alarm blared. "Great job, superhero," Mara shot back, half annoyed but also unable to hide her smile. Together, they dashed through the chaos, laughter mingling with fear as they narrowly avoided capture time and again. Finally, they reached the heart of the alien base, the command center, where the true enemy awaited. Xylox, the towering alien leader with a wicked grin, stood before them, eyes gleaming with malice. "You think you can challenge me?" he rumbled. "You're nothing but a foolish human." "Foolish, huh?" Leo replied, stepping forward with newfound confidence. "You've clearly never had my coffee. It's life-changing." The confrontation escalated quickly. Leo summoned his powers, the energy swirling around him in a dazzling display. The alien's technology crackled and fizzled under the onslaught of his newfound abilities, and with every quip Leo hurled at Xylox, he felt the weight of humanity's hopes resting on his shoulders. In a final push, he unleashed a wave of energy that enveloped the command center. The walls shook, lights flickered, and Xylox was momentarily blinded. Leo seized the opportunity, channeling every ounce of his wit and strength into a single, decisive blow. "You can have your dominion, but you'll never take our coffee," he shouted, sending a shockwave that reverberated through the base. As the dust settled, the remaining aliens retreated in confusion, leaving Leo and Mara standing victorious. The Resistance had triumphed, but more than that, Leo had transformed from an ordinary barista into a symbol of hope. The celebration that followed was surreal. Humanity began to reclaim their world, coffee shops returned to their rightful owners, and the once oppressive alien presence faded into a distant memory. In the midst of the festivities, Leo found himself beside Mara, their connection deepened by the trials they had faced together. "Looks like we survived, oops," she teased, elbowing him lightly. "Next time, I'll aim for something a little less catastrophic," he grinned, glancing at the night sky, which was now dotted with stars instead of alien ships. "But I'm ready for whatever comes next." "Just promise me you won't start serving alien espresso," Mara laughed. Leo chuckled, but as he looked around at the people celebrating their newfound freedom, a flicker of something else crossed his mind. A mysterious message pinged on his communicator, an urgent warning about new threats lurking beyond their world. With a deep breath, he turned to Mara, excitement bubbling in his chest. "You know, I have a feeling this is just the beginning." As the celebrations swirled around them, Leo's mind raced with the implications of that mysterious message. It had been a simple alert, a warning from one of the Resistance's scouts, hinting at another alien faction plotting their own invasion. The thought sent a shiver down his spine. Had they truly just regained their freedom, only to be faced with another wave of extraterrestrial trouble? Mara noticed the shift in his demeanor. "What's on your mind?" she asked, her eyes steady and curious. "I got a message. It sounds like we might not be in the clear just yet. There are rumors of another group out there. More aliens who weren't part of the takeover," Leo replied, his voice low. "They might come looking for a fight." Mara's expression hardened. "We can't let that happen. We need to rally the resistance and prepare for whatever's next. We're stronger now, and we have the element of surprise on our side." Leo nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. He wasn't just a barista anymore, he was a leader of sorts. With Mara by his side, he felt invincible, but the weight of responsibility pressed down on him. "What's our first move?" "We gather intel. Find out where these new aliens are based, and what they want. And if they come for Earth, we'll be ready," she said, her resolve evident. As they made their way through the remnants of the party, Leo felt a sense of camaraderie with the rebels. They were a motley crew of baristas, former office workers, and even a couple of disgruntled aliens who had defected from Xylox's regime. They shared a common goal now, and Leo felt a bond forming that transcended their past lives. They quickly regrouped at the underground hideout, a spacious basement filled with old equipment, makeshift desks, and scattered maps of the city. A whiteboard at the front listed potential threats, all of which now had a more serious tone. Leo stood at the head of the table, flipping through reports as he tried to make sense of the new threat. "Okay, listen up," he called out, rallying the troops. "We've just won an epic battle, but it seems the war isn't over. We have intel about another group of aliens that could be worse than the last. We need to be smart about this." The room fell silent as everyone focused on him. "We need scouts. I want teams sent out to gather information. Mara, you're on point. You know the landscape better than anyone." "Got it," Mara replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I'll lead a team to the outskirts. We might find some clues about their movements." Leo felt a surge of pride watching her take charge. "Great. I'll assemble another team to check in with some of the old contacts we have in the city. We need eyes everywhere." As the plans took shape, Leo fell into a rhythm. The mundane life of coffee orders and latte art felt like a lifetime ago. Now, he was fully immersed in strategy and leadership, fueled by a sense of purpose. He couldn't help but crack a few jokes to lighten the mood, reminding everyone that even in the face of danger, laughter was their greatest weapon. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Teams went out to gather intelligence while Leo stayed behind, poring over maps and data. He had always been the one making drinks, not directing operations, but he found an unexpected knack for it. He was surprised by how quickly he adapted, his natural humor helping to ease the tension that inevitably came with preparing for a possible invasion point. One evening, as they gathered for a debrief, a scout team burst through the door, out of breath but exhilarated. "We found something," one of them exclaimed, leaning against the wall for support. "There's a hidden base about 50 miles outside the city. We think it's a staging ground for the new aliens. They're armed and ready for something big." Leo felt his heart race. "When are they planning to move?" "Not sure, but we overheard them talking about a strike soon. They're not here yet, but it sounds like they want to make a statement." Mara stepped forward, her expression serious. "We can't wait for them to strike first. We need to take the initiative. If we hit them now, we might be able to cripple their plans." Leo felt a mix of excitement and fear at the thought. "What do you suggest? A preemptive strike?" "Exactly. We go in, gather as much intel as we can, and take out their communication systems. That'll throw them into chaos and give us the upper hand," Mara said. Leo nodded, adrenaline coursing through him. "Let's do it. We'll strike tonight. Gather your gear, we leave in an hour." The rebels buzzed with energy, their spirits lifted by the prospect of action. Leo felt a surge of confidence as they prepared, the weight of his earlier fears lifting. This was their chance to turn the tables, to show these new aliens that humanity wouldn't be easily subdued. As dusk fell, they set out under the cover of darkness, the tension palpable in the air. The team consisted of a mix of seasoned rebels and new recruits, all ready to fight for their freedom. Leo took a deep breath, grounding himself as they approached the hidden base. He felt a familiar hum of energy within him, ready to be unleashed. The base was camouflaged among the trees, a sprawling complex that seemed to pulse with life. As they crept closer, Leo glanced at Mara, who gave him a reassuring nod. "Stick to the plan," she whispered, and he could see the determination in her eyes. They moved stealthily, slipping past guards and surveillance systems. Leo felt the thrill of danger, a stark contrast to the mundane life he once led. The adrenaline was intoxicating, and he reveled in it, using his powers to help the team navigate obstacles. With each step, he felt more like the hero he'd become. Finally, they reached the communication hub, a room filled with blinking consoles and humming machinery. Leo's heart raced as they entered, but the moment was short-lived. Alarms blared, red lights flashing as a voice echoed through the halls. "Unauthorized personnel detected. Lockdown initiated." "Damn it!" Mara cursed, her eyes darting around. "We've got to act fast." Leo focused, channeling the energy within him. He reached out, feeling the technology around him respond to his presence. With a surge of concentration, he sent a wave of energy that overloaded the consoles, short-circuiting the alarms and plunging the room into darkness. "Nice work," one of the rebels shouted, and Leo grinned, feeling the thrill of his powers pulsing through him. They set to work, downloading files and scrambling communications, but time was running out. The sound of footsteps grew louder, and they knew they had to move quickly. Just as they finished, the door burst open, revealing a squad of aliens, their eyes glowing with menace. "Get them," their leader snarled, and chaos erupted. Leo and Mara sprang into action, the team moving as one. Leo unleashed his powers, sending energy bolts toward the aliens, creating cover for his friends to escape. Mara fought fiercely, her determination igniting a fire within Leo as he saw her in action. In the midst of the battle, Leo felt a rush of clarity. He was no longer just reacting, he was directing the chaos. He guided the rebels, coordinating their movements with quick commands and strategic strikes. The aliens were formidable, but together they fought like a well-oiled machine. Combining Leo's powers with the skills of the rebels, they fought their way to the exit, but Leo could sense they were being overwhelmed. Just as he thought they might be trapped, an explosion rocked the building, sending debris flying. Leo felt the ground shake beneath him, and for a split second, he thought it might be the end. Now's our chance. Mara shouted, grabbing Leo's arm. They dashed through the smoke and chaos, racing toward the exit. As they burst outside, the night sky greeted them, stars twinkling like a million eyes watching over their escape. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of the treeline, the sounds of battle fading behind them. Panting, they finally slowed to a halt, catching their breath as they processed what had just happened. Did we get everything? Mara asked, her eyes wide with adrenaline. More than we bargained for, Leo replied, a grin spreading across his face. We disrupted their communications and took out a few of their best fighters. We might have just sent a message of our own. As they regrouped with the other rebels, Leo felt a sense of camaraderie wash over him. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. This was no longer just about fighting back, it was about reclaiming their home, their lives. Back at the hideout, they gathered to analyze the intel they had secured. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as they shared what they'd learned, piecing together the new aliens' plans and how they could counter them. Leo felt the energy in the room, a blend of hope and determination. As the night wore on, they developed a strategy to counter the new threat. Leo took his place among the leaders, not just as a barista but as a key player in the rebellion. He saw how his humor had become a rallying cry, something to lift spirits even in the darkest moments. Days turned into a blur of planning, training, and preparation. They communicated with other resistance groups, spreading the word about the new alien threat and pooling their resources. Each day brought fresh challenges, but with every obstacle they overcame, Leo's confidence grew. Mara became his partner in planning, her fierce determination complementing his humor. They developed a rhythm, trading ideas and strategies, all while keeping the mood light even when the stakes were high. One evening, as they mapped out their next move, Leo glanced up from the table. You know, if we survive this, I'm thinking of starting a new coffee shop. Maybe call it Intergalactic Brews or something, he said with a grin. Mara chuckled, shaking her head. You're impossible, Leo. But it might just work. After all, everyone loves a good cup of coffee. They shared a laugh, the bond between them growing stronger as they navigated the uncertainties of their situation. As the days passed, the atmosphere shifted. The new aliens had been quiet, but Leo could feel the tension building. They were plotting something, and he couldn't shake the feeling that it was going to come to a head soon. Then, one day, a massive ship descended from the sky, a dark omen against the blue. It landed in the center of the city, and a voice boomed over the loudspeakers, "People of Earth. We are here to claim what is rightfully ours." Leo felt a surge of anger at the audacity of the aliens. "We're not going to let them take anything," he declared, determination igniting within him. Mara stood beside him, resolute. "We need to gather everyone. If they want a fight, we'll give them one." They quickly mobilized the resistance, the urgency palpable as they prepared to face their new adversaries. Leo felt the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him, but he pushed through, his sense of humor serving as a beacon of hope for those around him. As they gathered in the streets, facing down the looming threat of the alien ship, Leo stepped forward, ready to lead the charge. "Okay, folks. This is it. Remember, if they try to take our coffee, we'll show them what Earth is really made of." The rebels erupted in laughter, a wave of determination washing over them. Leo felt the energy surge within him, the thrill of being part of something bigger than himself. The aliens descended from their ship, a formidable army of diverse creatures, their eyes glinting with malice. But as they approached, Leo raised his hands, channeling his energy into a radiant display of light. "You want a fight? Let's see what you've got." The battle that ensued was a whirlwind of chaos and camaraderie. Leo fought alongside his friends, using his powers to shield them and strike back against the aliens. The streets became a battlefield, laughter mixing with shouts and explosions as they clashed with the invaders. In the heart of the chaos, Leo spotted Xylox among the alien ranks, his eyes filled with fury. "You think you can defeat us, human?" he shouted, but Leo wasn't intimidated. "No one messes with Earth and gets away with it." Leo shot back, summoning his powers for a final showdown. With a fierce determination, he unleashed a surge of energy that sent shockwaves through the battlefield, forcing the aliens to stagger back. Mara fought by his side, their movements synchronized as they worked to drive the invaders away. As the tide began to turn, Leo felt a rush of hope. They were making a difference, reclaiming their home one battle at a time. And with every laugh shared and every joke exchanged, they solidified their bond, proving that together, they could face anything. Hours passed, the battle intensifying until the aliens began to retreat. Leo felt a sense of triumph swell within him. "This is our planet," he yelled, the words echoing through the streets. As the last of the alien forces fled, cheers erupted among the rebels. They had done it. They had faced their fears and fought back against the new threat. Leo stood amid the chaos, panting but exhilarated, looking around at his friends and comrades, knowing that this victory was just the beginning. Mara joined him, breathless and smiling. "We did it. We really did it. Who would have thought a barista and a bunch of misfits could save the world?" Leo said, laughter bubbling up within him. "Don't sell yourself short. You're not just a barista anymore, you're a hero," she replied, her gaze steady. Leo felt a warmth spread through him. He had gone from serving coffee to leading a rebellion. It was absurd, but in the best possible way. As they celebrated their victory, Leo glanced at the stars above. He felt a sense of peace settling over him, knowing they had fought for their home and won. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. There would always be challenges ahead, and as long as he had his friends by his side, he was ready for whatever came next. And maybe, just maybe, he'd open that coffee shop one day. "Intergalactic Brews," he muttered to himself, grinning as he imagined the sign hanging above the door. The future was bright, filled with possibilities. "Let's keep fighting, and let's keep laughing," Leo said, raising his cup of coffee in a toast to the rebellion. And with that, the laughter continued, echoing into the night, a reminder that together, they could face anything the universe threw their way.